Judge Jeanine Pirro thought she had Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett exactly where she wanted her. The cameras were rolling, the studio lights were hot, and Fox News was on standby, ready to broadcast what they believed would be a devastating blow to one of the Democratic Party's rising stars. But what happened in the next 30 seconds didn't just silence Pirro. It sent shockwaves through the entire network, left her producers scrambling, and may have changed her career trajectory forever. For days, Fox News had hyped this as the ultimate clash. The Showdown. Clips of Pirro dismantling past liberal opponents had flooded the airwaves and social media. Conservative influencers declared it a guaranteed win for the right. Fox News executives even cleared the night's lineup, confident this would break viewership records. In their minds, this wasn't just another interview. It was an ambush, and they were sure Crockett was walking into a trap. But Jasmine Crockett wasn't just any guest. A former public defender turned congresswoman, she'd earned a reputation in Washington for her razor-sharp intellect and unshakable composure. Unlike the Ivy League pundits Pirro was used to rattling, Crockett came from a background where every fight had real stakes. She'd defended those who couldn't afford justice, walked through the fire of systemic failure, and made it to Congress not by wealth or connections, but sheer grit. The studio was packed. MAGA hats bobbed in the audience, signs flashed with slogans, and Fox's social team stood by with pre-made hashtags like Judge Jeanine wins and Crockett exposed. The air was thick with anticipation as the segment began. Pirro leaned in, eyes gleaming with calculated aggression. "Congresswoman Crockett," she began, her tone soaked in condescension, "thank you for finally showing the courage to come on this show. Though I doubt that courage will last once I expose who you really are." The audience cheered. Pirro smiled. This was her arena. But Crockett didn't flinch. "Thank you for having me, Judge. I'm looking forward to an honest conversation." Pirro went in hard, accusing Crockett of being a social media grandstander, a puppet of the radical left, a champion of handouts and high taxes. She attacked her voting record, questioned her legal background, even mocked her experience as a public defender. "Defending criminals is your qualification for public office?" Pirro sneered. "Is that what integrity means to you?" The audience howled. This was classic Pirro, ruthless, biting, relentless. But Crockett remained calm. "Judge," she said coolly, "I defended the Constitution, you know, that document you swore to uphold. It guarantees everyone a fair trial, even the people you choose to mock." A crack appeared. Pirro's smirk twitched. "Don't lecture me about the Constitution," she snapped. "Let's talk about your record. Radical votes, socialist policies, dancing to AOC's tune." Pirro stood now, arms flailing, voice rising. "You want to talk about being out of touch?" she roared. "You push government handouts while Americans suffer under inflation and high gas prices." Then Crockett smiled. She calmly reached into her briefcase and pulled out a folder. "Judge," she said, her voice level but sharp as a blade. "You're right. Facts matter. So let's look at some." She held up a document. "This is your tax return, public record, since you were a government official. It shows you made over $7 million last year. Let's talk about that." The audience froze. The room went silent. Pirro blinked. Her mouth opened, then closed. "You want to talk about struggling Americans?" Crockett continued. "Let's talk about your $3.2 million mansion in Westchester County, or the six-figure speaking fees, or this contract." She pulled out another document. "From 2019, you were paid $150,000 to speak at an event hosted by a company under federal investigation for fraud." Gasps. The studio erupted in murmurs. Pirro sputtered. "That's out of context. I didn't know." "You did know," Crockett cut in, her voice steady. "Because this email, sent to your agent 3 weeks prior, says, and I quote, 'FYI, might want to reconsider this one.'" Shockwaves. In the control room, producers were panicking. Messages flew back and forth. Someone whispered, "Should we cut to commercial?" But it was too late. The story was unfolding live. "You still took the money," Crockett said, "from a company defrauding working families. The same families you say you defend." Pirro sat, frozen. The studio cameras zoomed in. Her face was drained of color, but Crockett wasn't done. She lifted a thick packet. "And these are 37 complaints, filed against you as a prosecutor. Allegations of misconduct, withholding evidence, pursuing weak cases just to boost your conviction rate. 37 families had to fight for justice because of your choices." The crowd gasped again. Some looked visibly uncomfortable. This wasn't what they'd come for. The Fox News team knew they were watching a meltdown in real time. Their star host dismantled on her own stage. The woman who had never lost a televised battle was now cornered, exposed, and unable to respond. Crockett leaned back in her seat. "You wanted a conversation, Judge, but what you tried was character assassination. And the difference between us?" She paused. "I came with receipts. Social media exploded. The hashtags flipped. A Crockett claps back. Judge Jeanine exposed, and our receipts don't lie began trending within minutes. TikTok clips, Twitter threads, YouTube reactions. The moment had gone viral before the segment even ended. What was meant to be a career-defining win for Pirro had become the most public loss of her career. And Jasmine Crockett? She didn't. Just survive the ambush. She turned the trap inside out, set it on fire, and walked away holding the match. Political television would never be the same again. A guest completely dismantles a Fox News host on their own show, using the host's own research against her. Pirro sprang to her feet, her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "This is outrageous. You come on my show attacking me with out-of-context documents and lies," she snapped. "Lies?" Crockett stood calmly, matching Pirro's intensity but holding her composure. "Judge, these are public records, court documents, your own emails. If these are lies, then the entire legal system is lying." "You don't understand the context," Pirro began, but Crockett cut her off with a raised hand. "Context? Let me give you some context," Crockett said sharply. "You've spent 10 minutes attacking my character, my qualifications, and my integrity. You called me a puppet, a radical, and suggested I have no business representing my constituents, all while sitting on this record." She gestured to the spread of documents on the desk. "So tell me, Judge, who's really out of touch here?" The question hung like a blade. Pirro opened her mouth to answer, but no words came. For the first time on her own show, Judge Jeanine Pirro was speechless. Behind the cameras, Fox News executives scrambled. Rupert Murdoch himself was reportedly watching and called the control room demanding answers. The network's crisis team prepared for fallout, knowing this would dominate news cycles nationwide. Assignment editors rushed to follow every document, Crockett revealed. The Associated Press assigned 3 investigative journalists to verify the claims. The Washington Post readied a devastating exposé on Pirro's prosecutorial record. Competing networks' social media teams worked overtime creating clips highlighting Pirro's downfall. Within hours, professionally edited videos of the confrontation spread like wildfire. "You want to talk qualifications?" Crockett's voice grew stronger. "I didn't inherit my seat. I didn't get here through connections or wealth. I earned it because the people trusted me, because I fight for those who can't fight for themselves." What began as Pirro's planned ambush had become Crockett's masterclass in political combat. The young Congresswoman didn't just defend herself. She annihilated her attacker with facts and preparation. "As for being a puppet," Crockett added, gathering her documents, "I've never taken a dime from companies under federal investigation. I've never ignored ethical warnings, and I've never judged others while hiding my own skeletons." Pirro looked around the studio helplessly. Her producer stared in shock. Her usual confidence was gone. During the commercial break, cameras caught Pirro whispering frantically to her producer. Lip readers later reported her desperate words. "How did she get all this? We need to end this now." The producers shook their heads. Going off air would only fuel the fire. Back on air, Pirro made a last-ditch effort. "Congresswoman, you've clearly prepared for this, but documents can be taken out of context. What matters is results. And your record shows—" Crockett smiled faintly and interrupted, pulling out a statistical report. "Since you brought it up, Judge, here's a comprehensive analysis of your conviction rates and case outcomes as Westchester County prosecutor. Want to hear what it shows?" Pirro's face drained of color. "It shows your conviction rate was below the state average. 23% of your cases were overturned on appeal, nearly double the norm. And your office had the highest rate of prosecutorial misconduct findings in New York. So, when you talk about results, Judge, whose results are we really discussing?" The final blow was devastating in its simplicity. Crockett let the facts speak, and they roared. "I think your audience deserves better than someone who lectures about values while making deals with fraudsters. They deserve better than someone who attacks public servants while cashing checks from criminals." Pirro slumped back, hands trembling, defeated. The fight had left her. She'd walked in expecting an easy victory, but instead faced the most humiliating defeat of her career. "Anything else to say, Judge?" Crockett asked, gently, like a teacher offering one last chance. Pirro looked up, eyes no longer sharp but lost. "We need a commercial break," she mumbled. But it was too late. The damage was done. The Fox News studio fell silent. Pirro sat slumped, staring at Crockett's scattered documents, the wreckage of her reputation. Crockett calmly packed up. Having done what many thought impossible, completely dismantling a Fox News host on her own turf with nothing but facts. When cameras returned from commercial, Pirro was gone. A producer hastily announced, "Due to technical difficulties, we're ending tonight's show early." But everyone knew the truth. No technical issues, just the collapse of one of Fox News's biggest stars. Within minutes, clips exploded across social media. The hashtag, just Jasmine Crockett dismantles, Pirro trended on X with over 100,000 tweets. Conservative viewers were stunned, having expected to see their champion crush a liberal politician. Instead, they watched their star get demolished by a prepared. Congresswoman. One MAGA supporter tweeted, "I can't believe what I just saw. Pirro got destroyed. How did Fox let this happen?" Democrats celebrated. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, "This is what happens when you bring receipts." Jasmine Crockett just gave a masterclass on handling right-wing attacks. MSNBC's Rachel Maddow said, "She didn't just win that debate, she rewrote political combat's playbook." Even Barack Obama weighed in with a simple tweet, "When they go low, we go prepared." Well done, Jasmine. Private Republican strategists admitted defeat. One told Politico, "Pirro walked into a buzzsaw. Crockett came armed with documentation like a Supreme Court debate." TikTok clips racked up millions of views. Young people shared moments of Pirro's face draining of color with captions like, "POV, you picked the wrong opponent." Celebrities joined in. Trevor Noah tweeted, "Jasmine Crockett gave us a masterclass in preparation. Take notes." Kerry Washington posted, "This is what happens when brilliance meets preparation." Even international media took notice. The BBC called it a significant shift in political battles in the social media age. Meanwhile, major networks scrambled to book Crockett for interviews. Media critics dissected Pirro's downfall, blaming her for underestimating her opponent. Fox News executives held emergency meetings, reportedly considering suspending or restructuring Pirro's show. Investigative journalists dug deeper into the damning documents, especially the $150,000 speaking fee from a fraudulent company raising serious ethical questions. Legal experts weighed in. Former federal prosecutor Joyce Vance tweeted, 37 misconduct complaints, that's a system, not an accident. For Crockett, the impact was transformative. Overnight, she went from relative unknown to national political star. Interview requests poured in. Democratic strategists hailed her as a rising star, connecting with young voters and communities of color. CNN's Van Jones said, "She didn't get defensive or emotional. She came with facts and let them do the talking, a blueprint for fighting. Right-wing attacks. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Pirro, the wealthy TV personality known for attacking others, was dismantled by a Texas public defender who simply did her homework. For many, this wasn't just a clash. It symbolized generational change, where preparation beats bluster and truth triumphs over spin. The fallout was immediate. Advertisers pulled spots from Pirro's show. Viewership plunged, with many longtime Fox fans questioning their loyalty. Within 48 hours, Fox News lost over $2 million in ad revenue. MyPillow, a major sponsor, publicly reevaluated its relationship with the network. Competitors reveled. CNN and MSNBC devoted segments analyzing the most thorough destruction of a right-wing pundit in TV history. Ratings for Pirro's show plummeted from 2.5 million to 800,000 viewers in 1 week. The key, 25 to 54 demographic, almost entirely abandoned it. Industry analysts speculated this confrontation could forever change political interviews on cable news. Crockett just raised the bar for preparation and accountability, wrote Variety. Hosts will think twice before personal attacks without bulletproof research. Fundraising for Crockett's re-election campaign soared, fueled by small-dollar donations nationwide. Young women, inspired by her poise and intellect, flooded political science and law programs in colleges across the country. The long-term impact on American political discourse is still unfolding, but one thing is certain: the old rules, where the loudest voice wins, are dead.